Thing. I'm steaming my bottles, I'm getting my brine ready, and I'm going to start cutting my vegetables. Okay? So let's start with the fennel. I also have some beets, but let's start with fennel for now. So as you can see, we don't need the green part. Remember, I'm going to this to be sort of like a stir fry or a salad. What we might want to do, however, is save a little bit of the fennel frond. Now, I'm not a big fan of licorice flavor, that anise flavor in everything, but if you were at home, this would be a great thing to add directly into the brine once it's in the bottle, okay? So you wouldn't put this in your brine to infuse. You would use this as sort of like a garnish. You can pull apart, and it's actually very attractive once you get it out, okay? So yeah, we'll put a piece of that aside for now. We'll just stick it here. All right. And I've got some beautiful carrots. I washed these earlier to save a little bit of time. And what I'm going to do now is we're just going to take the fronds off. We don't need the fronds. If you've ever wondered what you could do with these, is they actually make a very good pesto. You can cut them with, you can also cut them with parsley, use as a garnish. You can also cover these in our coarse salt that we're using right now, let it dry out, and then you can blend the salt and then sieve it, and you end up with celery or carrot salt, sort of like a celery salt. Interesting flavor for fish. We have our peppers. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut all our peppers in half. All right. Just going to grab my trusty bowl, and all this I'm keeping is going to be used for a compost or stock. So our peppers, we're going to give them a little bit of shape. We're not going to cut them small. We're going to keep them fairly large. All right. So we're going to cut down some peppers like this. Okay, and while we're doing this in real time. So I did do a couple of things just to save a little time for us, but we really want this lesson to stay in under the half-hour mark. The idea here is to show you how simple and easy it is to get this done at home, using up spare stuff you find in the fridge, and really any kind of vegetable you got. Like if it's a half an onion, or you're like me, a lot of this stuff is in my fridge, like at home. Okay, so if it's like me, I'll get to a certain point where, you know, I've already had peppers a couple times this week and I don't want to, but I still have some left. I don't want to eat anymore, so I'll just have some of this brine and I'll just pickle them. Now, today we're going to show you a couple kinds of pickling with the same brine. So there's hot pickling, which is I use when I am pickling something to preserve it for a long time. So it's the exact same brine, but when you put your vegetables in a jar, you're going to use it hot, okay? And then you're going to use that temperature to help vacuum seal the jar afterwards. The other way you can use this is use it like a cold pickle, and that would be, or a very quick pickle for salad. So for instance, if like today I showed you a few other things, and I've got a mandolin I'm going to slice some beets with really thin. But you can also use like a box grater. And if you shred your carrot or turnip or cucumber, anything you like really, fennel, anything you want to shred, all you need to do is take a little bit of this pickling brine, which you can actually, if you've got an open jar of the pickle, just strain some off. If not, you can take this brine and stick it in the fridge. It will last a very long time in the fridge. And you can use it as your base for salad dressings. So you can marinate your pickle into it. One thing I like doing is taking cherry tomatoes, cutting them in half, mixing them with red onion, maybe some red pepper, some cucumber, some celery, and then I add the pickling brine in there, and I just give it a quick toss and add some olive oil, and then I let that sit in my fridge for an hour, and the vegetables pick up that wonderful briny, sweet, salty flavor, but it also creates your salad dressing at the same time. And then all you have to do is toss in your veg and then add a little more oil, maybe some honey, whisk that up, boom, salad dressing, done. All right, salad garnish, same time done. All right, so we've got our peppers. I'm gonna cut these down. Now, I like keeping them large. So if they're, if you already have a small pepper, don't be afraid to just leave it, as is. Like, I wouldn't even bother cutting that one. Something you just want in half. The other thing you got to remember with recipes is you're always thinking about what your end use is going to be, okay? So I am not building sandwiches with these pickles. I'm going to be stir frying and sticking them in salads. If you find the really young baby carrots, just give them a good scrub. Don't peel them. I find that a lot of the flavor for those ones, and a lot of their vitamins, actually, a lot of the nutrition in those is in the skin. Our jars are ready here, and we have our lids ready. So now we're going to strain our brine. All right. And the reason being is I want to be able to empty these veg out directly, just strain them off and use them directly into a salad or stir fry. Seeds wouldn't be so bad with stir fry, but you don't want a mouthful that contains a whole bunch of spent mustard and coriander seed and dillweed. So instead what we have is this brine here, which we are going to proceed to fill up our jars. So what you want to do is find yourself a surface that's got a lip. So if you are at home and you've got one of those deep baking pans in the oven, this is a good way. All right, so I'm gonna fill up my jar. Okay. And whatever I'm filling up is gonna be on the tray. This way I'm not spilling hot, salty, sugary brine all over the kitchen. All right, I'm going to bring the brine all the way up to the top. And let's see, so I've got 16 ounces left. How much is he's taking? So all the way up. All right, so 1 cup per bottle. Okay, so remember that ratio. Okay, so if you have an idea of how many jars of pickle you want to make, you can count on the fact that 1 cup of finished brine is going to be enough to fill a 2-cup mason jar once it's full of vegetables. Okay, so you can do the math there. We might go over that later if all you kids are at home. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the lids on. I'm not quite tightening them all the way down. Okay, I'm just snugging them just enough. And what'll happen is as the brine cools, okay, it's going to contract, which will create a vacuum. So you notice I'm filling it right to the brim. Well, after we let's even these out a little bit, make sure there's nothing sticking out. After they cool, that brine's going to contract, okay? So you're not going to, so when you open it, it's not going to be like liquid spraying out. It will actually be, once they're cool, it won't quite be filled all the way up to the neck of the bottle. All right, so. All right. As you can see, got a beautiful color. I love the clarity of this brine. If I'm describing it to people, this is a dilled mixed pickle, not a dill pickle. And as you know, as soon as you say pickle, if you were to tell someone to go out and get pickles, they'd come back immediately with cucumbers.